To answer your question, Dr. Neem, no, I have not rolled yet. I'll have to do that tomorrow. All right, I am broadcasting in both rooms again today until we fill the slot on Thursday mornings. So I'm gonna do it once again. All right, give me a second. We'll get going on the stream. Okay, welcome today, everyone. Today is Thursday, July 16, 2026. And again, this is our audio addition to the Daily Trade Strategy Briefing. And welcome to all our new trial members and everybody there in both rooms, pit room as well as PTG room. It's great to have you along today. Let's see what happens. It is a hot summer day, very hazy. There's a lot of Canadian wildfire smoke coming down into the northeast area where I am, and hot and hazy. Let's see what the markets do for us today. All right, NFA compliance rule 2-29C subparagraph 1. Again, this satisfies the regulators, the disclaimers. You all understand the risks of trading. Past performance not necessarily indicative of future results. Okay, we'll get that out of the way. All right, so where we left off yesterday, since we were broadcasting as well yesterday, nothing really has changed. And again, that has been and continues to be the theme. Basically, a wide range condition back and forth. And again, until something kind of knocks that off center from that type of rhythm, as I mentioned yesterday, um, this type of rhythm, kind of expecting it at least for the for the foreseeable future, however long that is. But even the overseas things that are going on out there, the market has now pretty much taken all that stuff in stride in terms of all the new military activity overseas. They're obviously not reacting as strongly as they once did to all the various activities out there, right? And again, the market tends to kind of begin to uh, price a lot of this stuff in, and it's not a shock anymore, right? It's not the shock and awe, but it is in a range. Now, again, summertime range. A lot of times we can kind of equate the two. There's not a lot of participants, looking to move things around. Everybody's, the bulls are trying, the bears are trying, and they're just, neutralizing each other. All right, so that's kind of the rhythms that we have. I don't see anything changing until something else, captures the market's attention. Okay, so yes, again, let me just kind of walk through this quick cycle, right? We had established a cycle down over here back on Tuesday. All right, this was the CD1, and then yesterday, again, CPI, was that the CPI print? No, the CPI print was the other day. So yesterday we basically just had kind of a normalized kind of consolidation day. Yeah, we had some wide range activity, and that's what we've been getting. We've been getting these snaps and traps type of moves, and then the market kind of goes to sleep for a period. So again, we're going to obviously keep mindful of that type of rhythm. Oh yeah, the PPI. Thank you, Ram. All right, so overnight, we did have a what we call a peekaboo, right, which is again equivalent to a look above, right, and fail reversal. So price did uh, pop up a little bit above the cycle day 2 high, right, which was at 26.25. One of our targets up at the 76.30s did get fulfilled. Again, this is all during the overnight activity, and then has reversed down since. Of course, breaking through the prior close, right, began to accelerate it. You got that pullback on a retest, right? Again, even though it's slow, the market is adhering to, kind of the structural, what we call a structural integrity. Breaks a level, comes back, retests it, right? And then it has pushed down to one of our lower levels outlined in our daily trade strategies. Now, since then, we got kind of this bounce. And we were talking about the 3-day central pivot zone yesterday, and that's that magenta zone. All right. And again, you'll see many times, uh, you'll see prices kind of go into those areas and then kind of, reverse back out of them. It's not guaranteed, but it is an area that, you want to at least, uh, have on your radar in the event that, price enters those areas and we do get some sort of a response. So it did get a response off that 3-day central pivot zone. But was it because of that? Probably not, right? It's just there. It's just another, defined level. It's a metric, right? So, but the fact of the matter is, over the past 5 days, we've had a pretty well balanced profile, kind of that delta shaped profile, right, over the 5-day period. Remember, this is a 5-day composite profile over here. So we're sitting right in about as neutral as we can get, right into the you know 5-day point of control. What chart am I showing? I'm talking about the 60-minute chart, John. You have that up on your screen? You got the 60-minute chart this way, the main room chart, right? That's the one I'm referencing. Okay, you only have the opening range chart. All right, do an F5. Try an F5 to refresh. Okay, try that first. See if that works for you. How about everybody else? Steve 9, you have you just look at the 5-minute chart? Okay. So F5 works? Thumbs up? Okay. Okay, now both are showing? Okay, great. All right. So you are showing in PIT and in PTG. All right. Good. I hope we got it right. All right. So, anyways, it is a cycle day 3. We do have a positive 3-day cycle. Price is above the cycle day 1 low down there from the 3150s. Not much more to add to this, truthfully. We're just in this, current range. I think the market, in terms of the bullish play, the market would, first off, would need to recapture the prior close. Um, our line in the sand today, oddly enough, is still 76.15. When I look back at our previous cycle day 3, the line in the sand on that day was also 76.15. So nothing really has changed over this 3-day period, right? So hopefully something will give us, but the market is rotating. And as far as we're concerned, the rotations intraday are offering us some opportunity. And as I've mentioned, the past couple of days, it's more, I'm kind of looking at this as more of a trader's market. And, we are getting movement. And as far as we're concerned, that is really all that we, truly need. We just need some movement. We don't need necessarily liquidity like the big guys do. right? So we just need movement. We're getting it, and let's see how this unfolds. I will be on here this morning until 11 a.m. Niels will be joining on at 11 a.m. And let's see what we can guys can get accomplished here this morning. Again, feel free to post questions. If you are in some trades and you'd like to post those, feel free to post those as well. And let's see what we have going here for us. All right, market's going to open in just a moment. We'll ring the bell and get underway. Going to start the day neutral. I mean, we're right there in the middle. So the market's just going to snap around a little bit. And see if this works for you today. All right, one of the areas we may want to consider looking at is up there at the 11s 12 area. There's an 810. E-mini sniper, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I'd have to look at the code. It's been many, many years. I don't. We don't take the highest high. I think we take the average of all three highs and lows. Pretty sure. I'd have to ask my programmer. I think he takes all three into consideration. All right, so looking for something, perhaps a push up towards 1112s. Let's see if we can get it. See if we can get a response off that 810. The 810 has not really been all that helpful in this range recently. Typically is, but the rhythms, from an 810 perspective, has been a little wonky. It goes through its periods, of really solid performance, consistency, and then kind of doesn't show up for the party. So we'll see. But we do continue to probe all the key, areas and strategies, because you never know which one when it's going to enter a high performance period or a wonky period. All right, so we'll maintain our protocols, trade protocols. I have been personally been trading very light lately because of these rhythms, being a little bit more, I guess, passive. Certainly not chasing. Okay, Oris, thank you. I'll take a look at your email shortly. All right, so early we'll say is just kind of a neutral opening. So which means the market can roll up, roll down pretty easily. Hey, Niels is with us. All right. Okay, Niels shorted into the VWAP test right after the opening. Good. Cool. Yeah, VWAP is always a reference point. So if it's part of that, if it's part of your plan, by all means, you know. Yeah. How many of you, Niels trades the VWAP? How many of you trade the VWAP as part of your plan? Show of hands. Okay, Delphine does. Right. JM says, I would if I saw it. All right, Orist here plays the VWAP. Good. All right. Just again, kind of taking a informal survey. Again, the VWAP certainly is a metric. Is a reference. Again, that simply applies for everyone. So if you get a rotation down, again, we'll be looking for perhaps the this low pivot zone to hold. Okay, near the 80s. Right. That's and then kind of what I like to do is frame out the areas. So I just kind of use these rectangle boxes, and that's the most recent high low essentially. Speaking of the framework, framing it out. That's the most recent high low. So as such, kind of looking for that, to hold on a test. Sometimes even maybe if it pops below, you get a, kind of a look above or a look below sequence. Yeah, so Sam says VWAP in the pivot point, same spot for a short, right? 50 cents, 50% overnight just above. Yep. Okay. Yeah, I'm just more interested to see what others kind of, look at, reference, where you guys is making some of your, trade decisions from. I think it's helpful for the community to kind of, get a cross section of what people are looking for and how they trade it, so forth. All right, there's Niels' trade. Thank you, Niels. All right. Yeah, also everybody, if you are taking trades and you'd like to post them up in the room, okay, we certainly encourage that. Okay, it's not about being braggadocious or anything. It's just about sharing, right? So the more, the community shares together, again, we want to make this, a community where, it's open sharing. Nobody's, pounding their chest on, hey, look what I've done or look what I'm doing, but rather just sharing so we can all learn from each other. Okay. Hey, what are you looking at? Or what do you like? What type of trades do you look for? So again, just feel free to be able to do that, right? This is kind of like quote unquote, air quotes, safe environment. Nobody's going to be, critical. Actually, we're all very supportive, and it may encourage somebody if to begin looking at other trade opportunities that they may not have considered. Okay, so feel free, to do that type of stuff. All right. Philly D says I use the opening range 9 exponential MA and the daily pivot as my main. Right, three. Super. All right. Thank you. See, that's the type of sharing that we really encourage. Okay. And somebody may write that down. Okay. And say, hey, you know what? 9 exponential EMA, daily pivot, kind of put those together, and maybe somebody does a little bit of research on it and says, what type of efficacy does that have, and it begins to, you know, uh, open up possibilities, right? So I definitely encourage that type of interaction. Support under 43.33 says Mijit. Okay, 75. I'm saying 43. Okay, so a bit lower. All right, bears need to break through convincingly to turn it into resistance. Gotcha. Super. All right, here we are testing the 80s. Let's see if we get kind of a look below and reversal. This is our one of our target areas. All right, so keep an eye, watchful eye on potential reversal play here. All right, so testing that overnight low. This is where they separate the men from the boys. Look at that. Holding hard so far. All right, still challenging the overnight low. We'll see what happens here. No shift yet, but just an initial challenge. All right, 75.80 is one of our key targets there from our daily trade strategy. So if we get a push now below that, we'd probably be looking to test the prior low. All right, so this will be our, again, the key test here. See what the boys want to do. Yeah, in terms of the opening range here, let me pull this one in. Okay, I am still in, what is it, August? I think we're still in August crude. All right, that's short of the opening. NQ here short of the opening, as well as ES. Right. Large void said the opening print actually is the 5-minute midpoint. Okay, cool. All right. Again, short of ES as well. So those are the opening trades, opening range trades, by the way, that we're currently active. All right. All right, so big test here at 80s. Let's see what happens. What I like to do is, as this is unfolding kind of right at the 80s, I'll either like to look for either a push below and a fail, right? A peekaboo type style trade and a reclaim. Or if it does hold, looking for an upside shift, right? Right now it's kind of 50-50 whether or not this is going to hold or not. So let the big boys show us the way, and then we'll take our cues from that. Right. So again, kind of like a push down, right? That it's trying to do right now, and then a reclaim. That would be a play. Right. Again, sellers are still pressing, so new lows. Here we go. Probably going to test that overnight. Well, not overnight, but prior low, 71.75. Yeah, the D level money box is on deck as well. Right. Again, that's this chart over on the left. Let me zoom in a little bit. Right, there's your prior low, and then there's the D level right around the 64 50s. Right, so again, that's, as you saw yesterday, that was one of our core plays for the PTG members. Right, still could get a, kind of a look below and a reclaim on the 80s. So keep an eye out on that as well. I'm just throwing out ideas here on what the potentials are for the next play. Obviously, lean continues to be down. You got a put wall at 75.64. Okay, so you get all these various levels, and that matches up with the D level, the gamma guys put wall. 75.64. So again, all these levels, keep in mind, write them down. Obviously, play your game. Right? I cannot tell anybody here what to do. I can um, mention what we are doing, but I cannot offer advice. So all the discussion here is meant to give you guys some thoughts on the potentials on what type of play, right, you could work with, right? So there's a reclaim, or at least as you look below, and again a pop above. Now, is this a reclaim? We'll see, right? We got a pop above. We want to see that hold, and that will be all right. That potential kind of reclaim. So if we get a pullback here now from whatever level it decides, we want to see those 80s hold again. That's what we want to see. And then you decide whether or not that's worthy of a trade. Okay, but in terms of a look below or a peekaboo below and then a reclaim above, that's what we're looking for. Okay. Okay, large voice says 73.71 is the 200 SMA off the 1 hour chart, and it's an EMA that built this trend strength and nothing more. Okay, cool. Yeah. All right, we still have an 810 up a little bit above. Let's see if those 93s. Let's see if they offer a trade. Maybe there's a trade opportunity here into those 93s. Could be an opportunity there. All right, so we had the look below. We got a reclaim above. Now, if we get a pullback here, again, as I mentioned, we want to see now, that 80-82 zone hold. Fair amount of trade did occur there in that zone. So what does that mean, fair amount of trade? That means that there's, people looking to commit, you know, in that area. All right, the more volume, the more commitment. All right, the more important an area becomes. Thanks, Sam. Right. I like that, not Kevlar. You're gonna need that Kevlar vest. All right, here's that back test. All right, this will be the important part for the market to hold or fold. We got the first part of it laid out. Let's see if they can fulfill the second portion. The PTG large volume indicator shows sellers are being absorbed. Thank you, Oris. Let's see if I can put that up there. Large volume indicator. All right, let me unhide that on the chart. Yeah, that little dot. Well, it's not a PTG indicator, Bruce. It's actually a Sierra chart indicator. And if you have Ninja, there's also a Ninja Trader indicator, a large contract trader. I mean, a large volume. Yeah, yeah. We don't PTG doesn't technically have one. I just use the Sierra chart version or the Ninja Trader version. You want the order flow? Is that what you mean by the volume indicators? We have a bid-ask volume indicator. Uh, yeah. So okay. So this is a bid-ask volume ratio indicator right here in the middle, right? So that's representative of volume. Okay. Um, you can also look at. Let me put in the. If you're interested in order flow, okay, there's your order flow over on this side. Is that what you want to look at? That's a 5-minute chart on the left. And again, this is our 750 tick, which is our execution. Right. Yeah, you can't do footprints. Yeah, footprint charts are, again, it's an art to read those. So in terms of volume, right? Yeah, in terms of volume, the one in the middle here is the one we typically use, right? In here, and again, that's a bid ask, right? Volume ratio. So it's the difference between the bid ask, right? And I just kind of refer to that as my kind of um, buying or selling pressure gauge, right? I don't care about the individual volume itself of what's happening, right? I'm out just looking for the, the smooth average of all the volume that's occurring, and that's what that shows. Of course, you get the volume profile on the right-hand side here, right? We pay attention to that as well. Not sure if exactly that's what you're looking for, what you're meaning on that, but yeah, all good. Okay. Oh, good. All right, 10 o'clock. Let's see if these 33s or so, or excuse me, 93s offer anything. We got an A10 up there. All right. So again, the back test, right, of that, what we call our peekaboo, right? Look below and fail. So we had the reclaim, back test, and now we get that move up. So again, that's exactly what we were looking for. We did get that nice move up there, and we're coming back into a high volume cluster area. Let's see if there's a rejection in this area, or they want to keep pushing it up through VWAP. All right, we are short of 810. Let's see if we can get a successful trade out of this one. Again, like I said earlier, it's been kind of wonky lately. Um, your A10 flipped green. Mine has not yet. Okay. All right. I'll have to take a look at it. Well, the theme continues to be buy the F and dip, doesn't it? All right. We got stopped on that 810 again. Like I said, that's been wonky lately. So these rhythms are just not have not been too kind. They haven't been too kind. We saw this similar pattern yesterday, by the way. All right. This was on the 5-minute chart from yesterday. All right, we got that move down in the morning. All right, and getting right back around these same levels. Look at that. All right. Right in here, this level, again, carry that forward, right? Right in that same level. We're getting the same type of action, right? Again, that really snap back. So they really want to defend that 75-80 zone, very strongly, it appears, right? So for whatever reason, but fact remains, again, that area from yesterday, again, started that strong response again, kind of getting the same action here today. One of the reasons why I was using the 80s, as a target where the buyers stepped in yesterday. Be sure to take a look at where trades occurred the prior sessions, because again, it's market tends to want to respond back at the same areas. All right, so we got our back test off the peekaboo, and we got now the move up. So if anybody, again, took advantage of that um, unfolding, now obviously we'll be looking for some sort of a pullback, right, to realign or stay aligned with the current swing, which is to the upside, and we'll see how far this takes us. That probably cleaned out quite a few. Right, the buyers really responding uh, nicely. So let's see how far this goes. 76, 10, 15, or 76, 20, 15. 10, 20, 15 area has been responsive recently. So we'll see if that maintains that posture. All right, right up into the zone where we outlined this morning as our sandbox upper edge, right up there into the 07 and 7600 05s. So if the pattern remains, we should get some sort of a pullback here. I'm just monitoring the market here, and looking for if we can get a pullback down. Uh, Kind of eyeballing around the 95, 97s. And that is around the VWAP area. So if we framed it out okay, correctly, again, see if we can get that pullback off of this zone here. Yeah, yeah, 664. The A10 has really been a dogger this week. Not all strategies work all the time. All right, well, buyers are still engaging here. 7,600. No denying it. BTFD is still the core theme, right? This was the title, by the way, of the today's daily trade strategy, right? BTFD, the market's favorite four-letter word. Everybody's quiet this morning. Must be the haze. Must be the smoke from Canada. Yeah. Nicholas said, "Hey David, I missed the play. I misplayed. Oh, I misplayed the peekaboo. All right. Are there any thoughts you could share?" Okay. Well, you know, the idea of the peekaboo uh, is the way I like to play it. All right. And in most cases, it's going to be similar to the same way. So let me just kind of show this a little bit here, Nicholas. All right. Let me try to explain this as simple as I can. All right. Everybody sees the bigger chart there. All right. I kind of widened it out a little bit to explain. So the idea of the peekaboo, is, of course, is we have a reference level, right? So this is the reference level. And in this case, it was the 80s. Okay. Step number one. Step number two, price breaks through that level to the downside, right? So this is step number one, right? This will be step number two, a break. Okay, following. So that's the break. All right. The next step up here, if it's going to, reverse, right, it will be the reclaim, right? We'll put, let's spell it out. You may want to take a picture of this as well, right? Is the reclaim, step three. And step four, okay, is the retest or the back test, right? So that those are the components. So you get a reference level, price comes down into that level, breaks below the level, and if it's going to be quote unquote the look below and fail reversal, which is what we call our peekaboo trade, right? We're going to look for a move above, okay, and then essentially this pullback here becomes the play. Step number four on the back test. Okay, this is where the play happens. So they're all step one, two, and three is the structural setup. Step four becomes the actionable play, is where we're actually looking to take the trade. And we also had an A4 shift here, which is helpful. All right. And so what we're looking to do is we're looking for that to pivot off of that back test. That's the structure. Right. And then so in terms of kind of entry methods, that's pretty much left up to the individual, right? You can, getting above the EMAs here, the 89 EMA could be, a trigger for you. I mean, in terms of, triggers, there's you could just go market order. It doesn't matter that the EMAs are flat, right? Doesn't matter. Think about the price structure of it, right? So you got a level, breaks through, reclaims, back tests. That's the structure. The AMAs, can be helpful, but they're not necessarily um, going to be. Okay, so Nicholas said I got in on the first touch of the buy response of the level, got stopped out on the peekaboo, pushed lower, right? Re-entered, right, as on it because he had confidence in the move. Okay, okay, all right. Again, we don't know if this is going to unfold this way, right? And it's nice that it did, so we can have some discussion about the structure of it, perhaps for the next time. But that's kind of the structure as I lay it out as I've always seen it. All right, level, break, reclaim, back test. And again, it's on that back test, and that's where the trade entry. Any questions additionally on that? Okay, so that's the way that unfolds. If you want to take a quick snapshot of that, anybody? Actually, what I'll do is I'll take a snapshot of it. And I'll pass it along. Okay, here's a snapshot of that as I explained it this morning. Did you guys get the bet? No, you didn't get it. Let me just, there we go. All right, I'm going to take that off the screen. Everybody has the snapshot of it. And again, buyers still in control, right? So you're going to see that type of pattern again. Sure as shooting. All right, cool. Nicholas has a playbook. Everybody should be developing some sort of a playbook, because if you don't have a playbook, like an image like that, very easy to walk through, even yourself. Think about yourself as a coach and you're outlining a play, right, to your team. And so you want to outline a play, kind of think about, I always reference, when I do these things, I always reference football, the X's and O's. So when I'm doing these, I'm always kind of thinking about that, kind of putting the play out on the board, and this is how it's, we want this to unfold, and then each stage of the play, and then what would I do at each stage of the play, or how can I recognize each stage of the play. And then having it in your playbook when situations come about like this, you can quickly go review your playbook if you don't have it memorized. And then now you know what to at least be looking for. Is it going to unfold, exactly? No, most cases it won't, but there's going to be similar characteristics to it. And this is how when you start developing a playbook, you're not chasing price around. You're looking for the structural patterns, because it's in the structural patterns such as these that you can really put together some very good trades. But you have to let the patterns unfold. right? I need to see, I mean, yes, could you take that first touch and a bounce and so forth? Sure. Okay. But if you're really looking for a trade to unfold, then until the trade structure, right, is fully developed or nearly fully developed, you don't want to necessarily get caught up in the noise. Many times you're going to need to hold through a period. We always want to catch that breakout move where, we get paid immediately or we're in the money immediately, get risk free immediately. But a lot of times it's just not the case, so, and the market has a funny way of trying to force weak holders out, right? Talk about, redistribution of wealth. You've heard it talked about there in the media, over the course, redistribution of wealth. Well, the marketplace is nothing but a big redistribution wheel, right? It redistributes wealth from those that are uninformed, unprepared, to those that are more informed, more prepared. So, do you want to be the uninformed group or do you want to be the informed group? All right, so we'll stay to the long side now. Looks like we may get a continued push higher, but for now, we'll stay to the long side. Yeah. Another thing I like to pass along in terms of like reading price action, right? That may be helpful for you. When you see a move that it's occurred like it has, right? The market's kind of moved up, right? And then it starts kind of trading like this, right? And again, kind of a lateral pattern, right? So some people will describe this as a bull flag. Bull flags can come in, flag patterns can come in different uh, formations, but one of them is more of a lateral sideways movement. And the way I was taught back in the investment banking days when I was a market maker is lateral moves that have shallow pullbacks or a bull flag, whatever you want to call it. When you get a move up and it reaches an area such as it is over here, right? And it's beginning to trade some, high volume, right? That high volume does not indicate that it's going to reverse, right? Some people will say, "Oh, it's met some volume, it's going to reverse." So you get this little pullback here, right? And sure and shooting, somebody's shorting that, but they're really misreading price action, right? Price pushes up, and the buyers are aggressive. They want to buy. This is not some, you know, they're not inexperienced people, and this is just kind of playtime. They want to buy for whatever the reason. It doesn't matter, but they want to buy. So the stronger, the more aggressive they're buying when they finally, encounter some supply, if the market kind of laterally goes sideways like it does, showing here what it did today, that is an indication of strength, not weakness, just because it paused, right? So shallow pullbacks, all right, you need to kind of be thinking about, okay, it's staying up here, right? What's the other term for it in profile terms, right? Those prices are being accepted, not rejected. So if prices in area zone are being accepted, you do not want to counter that acceptance. You want to embrace that, go with it. Try to buy that any little dip. Yes, we'd love to see a deeper dip naturally, right? A discount type dip. But keep in mind, if the market is strong and those prices are being accepted, then it's up to us to be able to properly read what is unfolding, interpret it in a more effective manner, and then should you decide to take a trade, right, know what trade to be taken. So what do we refer to that as in our group, right? We refer to that as the OODA loop, OODA. All right, guys, and that stands for observation, orientation, decision, action. And again, in our educational material, we have lots of information, about what that OODA loop is all about. And again, that's the core interpretation of price. Simply observing, orientating. What's the observation? How do you describe that? What's the orientation? Long, short? What's the lean? Those are kind of the various questions, things like that. Nicholas asks, what is the name of the tool that creates the zone on Sierra chart? Which zone is that? Are you specifically referring to? What's the zone? The green box. Oh, the one that I painted? The one that, I did that myself. The tool is the trader. This green box, what I did here, Nicholas, was I highlighted this pivot up here, okay, and I highlighted this pivot down here, and I simply created a rectangle box. So in Sierra chart, you just go into tools and it says rectangle, extending rectangle. It does not do it automatically. I like to do a number of things like this by hand. So for instance, like we would do like up here, there's a pivot level up here. Okay, so let's just do that. Let me just take the extended rectangle. So if I just did this over here, like put this up here like this, okay? So before price ever gets right to a level, I'm looking at this pivot over here, right? This pivot high as an important area. Why? Because that's where the last buyer bought. And then the market reversed from that. So then that becomes a marker. So I want to make sure I can identify that marker at some time in the future. So by using what's called the rectangle, extending rectangle, right, I can push that out forward into the future because I'm only looking at a small portion of chart like this. All right. So when I do that manually, and the reason why I do that manually because I did it. It didn't automatically paint. I actually had to physically go take a look and identify that level zone, determine that For me, that's an important area to reference. And then when I draw that, now sometime in the future, as you can see at the moment, prices came up right into that zone. Doesn't mean it's gonna get there, but that would be a reference to pay attention to. So learn, again, I would really encourage everybody to do stuff like that. Go back at previous pivots. I think there are some indicators out there that will do that stuff automatically, but frankly, I think if you do it manually on your own, it's much more meaningful. Try to interact, with your charts as much as possible, because the more you interact and create uh, zones, levels, etc., right, then they become, you know, certainly more meaningful. That's how I see it, and that's how I was taught back in the day. You know, okay, I will be cutting off the stream here today at 11. I have a meeting shortly thereafter, and I'm not sure if there's anybody else coming up behind me. I don't think there is. Um, so it'll be a short session for the pit room today, as well as myself. So if you have any questions, you want to dig in for the next 15 minutes, feel free to post some questions. Again, we're still on the long side, still playing long, no reason to short. Again, still looking to buy dips. Nothing has changed. And I believe the gap has been very close to a full 100% gap fill. Yeah, the prior close is 76.17. All right, we're about 5 points or so away from that, so we could easily get that gap fill. Markets like to also fill gaps, so look for maybe a pop up to those 17, 18s to officially fill the gap. And again, that could be an idea play for yourself as well, right? Looking at it says, well, we maybe get another 5 points or so, give or take, for an official gap fill. Market likes to fill gaps, right? The trade is long, so I'm looking to buy, dips. So again, that could be a play for you, right? Oh, Tim, I think I see what you were asking about in terms of the volume. Is that what you were referring to, the volume oscillator? Okay. Yeah, I'll take care of that shortly. All right, guys. All right, we're starting to get some stalling up around that pivot zone that I highlighted from that pivot from, it looks like yesterday or so. All right, so starting to get some two-sided trade as we enter here near to 11 a.m. Right, so the aggressive move kind of stalling out a little bit. Again, does not indicate a reversal, just a pause, some consolidation. Obviously, bulls remain active, right? But the bears have come in a little bit. Sellers have come in, responding to the buyers. Right, so we'll take it again step by step. Okay, as this unfolds. All right. All right, guys. If there aren't any further questions, wait a minute. We guess we have one coming in. We have a few coming in. All right, good. That's what I want to see. Tim, the advanced decline sync, we don't use anymore. It's still on the website, but we're not really using it any longer. All right. So that's actually been replaced by the more effective OTA loop matrix grid. Which would be more effective, the pullback to the A10 and or the BLT? Could BLT play is still effective, right? It can be effective, certainly, right? So that BLT play would be, probably a short, right around here, the sevens, right? So that would be the trigger, just kind of breaking through that level, right? And probably a target would be, right down there near the VWAP initial target, right? Which is also this pivot over here. Okay, so for a BLT type move, BLT is a reversal play. All right, so that could be a play there, right? Also the A10, which is a bit lower. And again, the A10 has been wonky lately, but that said, right, it is still an effective zone to consider. All right, so if we get a pullback down to the A10, again, we're looking for a bounce back a bit higher, right? Back up to those areas. Again, think about what has been happening, right? The buyers are in control, right? It would take a deep lower break to kind of squelch that, right? Though we have seen those type of plays throughout the week, okay, that doesn't mean that it's going to happen exactly the same way today. All right, every day is different, right? The supply demand equation, right? Changes all the time. So we still want to look at references, yeah, VWAP there, right? Now think about VWAP. Think about VWAP. Okay. Are there buyers probably hanging out looking to get VWAP on a dip? I believe that it would be. Okay. You also have a pivot over here, as you just mentioned. And then, of course, you have the 810, a little bit below that, right? So you have an area of, confluence, right? That potentially, if the market came down to, again, the expectation would be finding buyers again, you know, probe lower, and see where the buyers are. Again, the buyers pushed all the way up here to the 14s, 15s. If you gotta move back down to 7600 area, I would certainly expect buyers to be interested in buying that dip. Okay, so is the play better, on a BLT short or a dip lower for a bounce back up? All right, kind of the determination of the decision on that, kind of uh, boils down to, you know, uh, do you want to stay in alignment with the dominant force? Who's the dominant force so far? The dominant force are the buyers. Nothing has broken. Now, if you do take a BLT type trade, all right, you got to manage that pretty. To me, when I'm taking a kind of a counter reversal type trade, I'm going to trade that much more aggressively in terms of trying to get risk free as soon as I can. Because if it doesn't work, then I don't want to be sitting there with some sort of a large loss in place, right? To try to like hope that it's going to work. So anytime I'm doing any type of kind of a reversal type play, and a BLT is a reversal type play, right? So, yes, it can be very effective. But again, you got to know how you want to manage that. As with all the trades, you need to know how you're going to manage that. All right. So I'll leave you with that idea. All right, everybody. It has hit my time at 11 a.m. Hope everybody got some educational value out of today's session. All right. Again, thanks for all the questions and interaction. Again, the more interaction, the better this program becomes on a daily basis. All right. So I do appreciate that. And I think everybody gets value out of that. All right. So have yourself a great rest of your day. I think it sounds, from what I understand, Niels is on vacation, enjoying the summer. So typically he will be coming on Thursdays at 11, but he is, I think, going to Portugal, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's what he mentioned earlier. So I hope he enjoys his vacation time. Enjoy the rest of your day. Stay cool wherever you may be, and we'll see you at the next installment. Thanks, everybody.